Well, Christy, let's start with the Golden Glove, because you finally got your hands on it, albeit it's quite a small hand. But it's official recognition, of course, for the achievement that you had last year to keep the clean sheets that you did.
Yeah, I think me and the boys done excellent to keep that sort of record of clean sheets. It would have been nice to have obviously beat Peterborough's record that we were trying for and carry on and finish the season. But on a personal note and as a unit, as defenders and as a team, it's been quite a nice sort of recognition for us to get that. Obviously Peterborough's known for scoring goals as a football club and maybe not so much for being very solid at the back, and we sort of found that last year that we had that solid base, which was what was our main success then going forward.
It's funny because you speak to strikers and talk about targets and talk about if they're going to get to 20 goals, and when they start the season well, they're on 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're immediately thinking about how many they can get to. Is that the same for keepers? If you started the season and kept the 3 clean sheets, you're on one.
yeah, no, it's definitely the exact same. It's all my mentality is every game is keep a clean sheet, because I mean, keep a clean sheet, you've got the best chance of winning the game. You're not going to lose. So yeah, every start of every season we sit down, me and Tal sit down and we go through goals and improvements and everything like that, and we've done the same here today this week about what the goals are for this year, and we set them already ready to start the season.
Is that sometimes why goalkeepers are so frustrated when you're winning a game 4-0 and you concede very late on? Are you more angry about them sometimes than other games?
Yeah, definitely. I think they're the biggest frustration. It's just there's also good habits. So you keep them habits when if the game gets easy, or you want to keep the defenders defending and thinking that what's the worst that could happen, because as a keeper you want them clean sheets, you want them records, you want them statistics, and that's what I want, and I want to keep everyone at it.
Yeah, sometimes games can change as well, can't they? You might be winning a game 2-0, concede in the 89th minute, and it just creates unnecessary pressure that you probably haven't had for the remainder of the game.
Yeah, I think 2-0 is a very dangerous scoreline. So yeah, one goal can change any sort of game, and clean sheets, like I said, you're not going to lose a game if you keep a clean sheet. So that's what we always want, and that's sort of my main mentality. Even when we're playing small-sided games, anything in training is, I'm always keep a record of how many clean sheets I've got, even the small-sided today. I'm trying to think of how many clean sheets, and when the game's finished, right, how many goals? None. Well, good. Sort of thing. So it's sort of a mentality that I keep in my head even in training.
Obviously watching the training sessions, it always intrigues me with goalkeepers, because you go away with Mark and obviously Dan and do your bits, and then you come back into those kind of small-sided games. Do you relish that sort of opportunity in those small-sided games? Because as a keeper, I always think you're on a hiding to nothing, given the fact that the pitch is so enclosed and balls are flying everywhere. Do you sort of look forward to those kind of things?
Yeah, definitely. It's good training for us, really, because like in a game you don't get, you get little spells maybe in games where you make 2 or 3 saves on the bounce or something like that, but in small sided it's constant, it's all the time. In a game it's very rarely that it's like that, so it's good training for us to be technically for them little bits in the games that happen, that you're on it and you're ready for that sort of 1 minute in a game that happens, that sort of crazy 1 minute. So yeah, they are really good for us mentally and physically, because it is also a blow as well, so it's good training for us all the time, and it is enjoyable as well. I think you'll probably see that today.
When you see the drills that every goalkeeper coach puts on, or Mark Tyler in particular here, obviously, you're working on several different aspects of what a goalkeeper makeup is, and part of that is obviously reflexes, part of that is making sure you're getting up quickly for the next one. Did you find any of them more tough than others? Is it about sort of drilling it into mentality? Is communication part of it? How do you assess the trainings?
So with me, obviously I'm not the biggest goalkeeper, so one thing that me and Tal was always working on, I like to work hard all week, because I want to be sharp, move quick, move my feet quick, because obviously I haven't got a big frame, like Dan for instance doesn't have to move his feet as quick because he can cover more goal. So for me it's all about them quick feet movements, getting up quick, moving and getting across the goal quick, moving my feet quick to dive, things like that. So that's something that me and Tal do work on, and I always want to keep working on all week, if I'm sharp for them shots on a Saturday.
Is that something where Mark actually comes into his own, because he's a similar sort of size to you and obviously had a long career, and everybody, I remember, as the years went by, people go, oh, he's probably not gone to the highest level because he's not got that extra couple of inches. But nowadays, you don't necessarily need to have that, because there's so many more facets to goalkeeping.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can name about 20 goalkeepers now that play probably Premier League, Championship, that are about the same height as me. Jordan or Dean Henderson, for instance, and Ramsdale, they're all the same height. There's no real difference in that. So on that sort of aspect, the height's not the big issue anymore. It's more, the speed of the game's changed. You've got to be quick, you've got to be good with your feet, and working with Tars, because that was a big plus for me coming here in the first place last year, was the fact that I knew that the goalkeeper coach, it's not like an ex-pro that was 6'5" and didn't understand the game. I knew that Tiles would understand my game and what I needed, and I could get the experience from him and what he's learned and what he's done in his career, and that would help me.
How do you replicate concentration in training in comparative terms to games? I'm more thinking in drills, because I guess, it's on you once you cross that white line, of course, but is there anything mentally you can do to get in tune?
So I think the difference between outfielders and like goalkeeping, for instance, is outfielders, they can't train 100% a week because they've got to be that sharp on the Saturday, whereas a goalkeeper, you train 100% every day, so you can concentrate when things get tough in the game. So you're blowing all week in training. You want to make sure you don't make a mistake when you're blowing in training. So then on a game, you're concentrating all the time, and that is training your concentration, if you like. But yeah, that's probably the only way you can really do it, because without actually playing a game, there's no other way you can do it.
It's always amazing in pre-season because players are doing their drills, goalkeepers go over, and the outfield players are like, look at them over there not doing any work. But as you say, you're probably the three that come off with the most heart rate going like the clappers.
Yeah, I think probably the goalkeepers probably do work the hardest in training. Like I said, the outfielders can't do it on a day-to-day basis. There's obviously days when they do. But I do like working hard on the training pitch. It is something that, I think last year I spoke with Tiles. I don't like doing recovery sessions. I want to be out training. So if there's a chance of doing a recovery session or training, I'd rather go out and train and touch the football and do some shot stopping, So, the goalkeepers do work hard, and Tiles, is a good coach, and he's, the sessions he does are hard work.
Yeah. Did you find in games when, say it's a 97-minute game, are you 100% focused at all times? Because sometimes you see keepers going back having a drink, sometimes sort of wandering around to their 6-yard box, sometimes going to the edge. Do you have a mindset where you're like, right, I don't care where the ball is, I'm here?
Yeah, I think, so I always say when people ask, like, a lot of outfielders always say, do you get tired in the game? Because obviously you don't really run around, and I always say to them, I get mentally exhausted at the end of a game because I'm 100% concentrating the whole time. I don't switch off. It's my pet hate if I see a goalkeeper like interacting with the fans. I know the fans might like it, but if I see that, I'm like, oh, it's not right. It's not right. That split second, you don't know what's going to happen next. You're not on it. A shot could come in the next 30 seconds, and you're not mentally on it to make that save. So that is one big thing that I've always said. Yeah, it's mentally exhausting after a game, not so much physically. Obviously, there's games when it is, but more so mentally.
I suppose the challenge for a goalkeeper, say if you defended from a set piece and you come out and claimed it, everything's in such a quick cycle of catch, distribute, and getting that right. Because I suppose from your point of view as a goalkeeper, if you've made a clean catch and you look up and you get the ping wrong, then people are going to moan at you because you've turned over the possession quite quickly. Is that quite a technical thing that you have to sort of get right and don't go too rushed mentally when you have that position?
Yeah, no, it's the sort of thing. So I learned at a young age from some good coaches. When I went on trial at Liverpool, was one thing that stuck out to me was not to rush going into the kicks. So, and Tiles also talked to me about it this year as well. Last year, about when you take that cross and you sprint to the edge of the box as quick as you can, look what's on, and then take a second or whatever, just to slow yourself down to make sure everything's right. Because you see keepers sometimes, they come out, they sprint out, they try and do it, shank the kick or whatever, and you're back under pressure again. So it's one of them where you just got to take a little second just to breathe and just control yourself, and then keep it right. But that comes with experience and playing and knowing what the situation is.
I think as well that when people watched you last season, and one of the good aspects of you had a very good understanding of game management, and that's so key because people can get fraught in the last couple of minutes of games, and whether it be coming and claiming and just taking your time, or in terms of how your distribution gets to a certain point. Because rather like rugby, if you've got 2 minutes to go and you're kicking long, you want to try and kick it out of play somewhere near the far side. Is that something that you have to understand the game to be a goalkeeper? You can't just presume.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to understand the game, and that comes with playing games. I think going back to when I was at Exeter when I first come through, I think I can remember one game we played Cheltenham. We were close to going down, both down there, and I was talking to the lads about it the other day actually, where I tried playing out in the 90th minute, and it got cut out. They come through, and they missed a chance, and if they won, we could have probably gone down that year, and that could have been curtains for me at Exeter at 18. So that again comes with games. Now I know I'd never do that. You don't do that at that stage in the game. You take the point at that age, and also fans get frustrated. But for me, I'm not worried if the ball goes out of play down near the corner flag because they can't score from there.
I asked Dan about his, well, I didn't ask you, he told me, about his sort of, not heroes, but who he looked up to as a goalkeeper. Did you have someone in mind that you really wanted to aspire to be, or was it just a case of being the young Christy Pym?
So I take bits from everyone, but sort of growing up, I was a big Man United fan, so it was sort of the Peter Schmeichels. I can remember having the treble the video. Used to watch that on repeat, watching all that.
Because he, again, not the biggest goalkeeper in terms of height, but obviously he used his frame amazingly in terms of...
Yeah, so he was different, where obviously at that stage he wasn't as clean with his feet. So then obviously later on I was watching Van der Sar, and the biggest thing for me watching Van der Sar was his feet. Obviously he was a great goalkeeper, but how he could half volley right foot, half volley left foot, roll on his right foot, roll on his left, and that was something, again, it's another pet hate. If I see a keeper run round it rather than use his weak foot, I'm like, come on, you should be good enough to do the opposite. But yeah, and watching how cool and calm Van der Sar was on the pitch, I never really saw him lose it. He's always kind of collected and sort of always seemed in control, which was like a big thing for me, which I used to like. And then probably watching the Premier League now would be sort of your Llorises and people like that I'm looking at. Edison, you know, same sort of stature, not the biggest, but good with their feet, good off their line, good shot stoppers.
In terms of match days, obviously, because goalkeepers come in before the outfield players, or did pre-COVID, obviously, in terms of how you would prepare. Are you someone that when you get in the dressing room and you're probably just yourself, the goalie coach, maybe the manager being in there, are you just wanting to get your head right rather than want to be talking to anybody? You just get you...
Yeah. I'm not the loudest in the change room, so when it's a match, especially when it's a match day, I'm very much pretty much talking to myself. I look like a bit like a loser, really, talking to myself, trying to build myself up for the game and get myself to switch on and stay mentally ready. So yeah, I'm quite quiet before a game.
They always say historically, isn't it, you have to be mad to be a goalkeeper, but I think these days that's probably going a little bit... Well, it's a bit harsh, really, isn't it? I don't think you necessarily need to be mad to be a goalkeeper. It's such an important position on the pitch.
Yeah, well, I think one of the biggest things was that Dan Butler said to me last season was, it's weird, really, Pimmy, because you're actually quite normal, and most goalkeepers are weirdos. So,
coming from Dan Butler.
And he is the biggest weirdo going, so, I mean, if he thinks I'm normal, then I must be all right, so...
And just finally, obviously, the season's just around the corner. We've got fixtures out today, sort of planning our lives. Carabao Cup's out, the EFL Trophy as well. Are you someone that can look at fixtures too far ahead, or do you just play each other twice? It doesn't really matter when it comes.
Yeah, I'm not really. I think it's quite nice to play Accrington that early in the season. Obviously, because last year we played them away, and their pitch was at that stage was like a sandpit, so it was quite nice to get that one whilst the pitches will be in good condition, hopefully. And yeah, other than that, no, yeah, it's pretty much take it as it comes. I think there's quite a lot of Tuesday night fixtures now. I think, like you said, Plymouth away on a Tuesday night, which is obviously one to look forward to. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty much take it week by week and see what happens. There's so many games this year that it's going to be hard to keep counting track of.